Hey, everybody, and welcome to We've Got Issues. It is our weekly or semi weekly or regular get together amongst a group of friends who've known each other for more than 40 years. And we love to get together and talk about topics that we feel are germane to what's happening in real life with real people. And I'll just quickly go over our panel here. We've got Ron Evans, who's back in the DMV.
Hey,
Good friend of ours. We met back at USC more than 40 years ago. Darren Gray, who's here in LA. Also, LA met at USC back in the day, and our good friend Ella Neely, who is still here. Angelino, like myself, born and
Great.
raised. She's a lifelong Angelino, and of course, my name is Nick Cates, and I'm here representing the LA as usual. Wow! So every week one of us has the opportunity to bring the subject du jour, and today it is on Ron Evans. So, Ron, tell us what's on your mind.
well, thank you. Thank you. Hey, everyone. Good to see you as always. Um, my question, I have to admit that I cheated. I got it from a podcast called Diary of a CEO, and I thought the question was really profound, so I thought I'd just ask it here to my good friends. And it goes as such. If you could give $1 billion to one person you don't know personally, who is it, and what do they have to spend it on? Okay.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
I can go last or I can go first. You guys, you can decide.
I think you need to lead this one.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So I am going to cheat a little bit, but I don't know the person. I would give the $1 billion to the new president at the University of Southern California, fight on.
Hmm.
And they would have to spend it in the following way.
Mm.
There would be an endowment. So at 5%, that would kick off $50 million a year in perpetuity. So you've got a $50 million budget. Half of that has to go to scholarships. And at the outrageous cost of tuition right now, that would fund about 250 scholarships a year, targeted to first generation students, mostly Black, nationwide. But it would have to be first generation kids that are our kids. Sorry, you already have advantages. You don't get to participate in this. They would have to be first generation. So half of the endowment, the annual spend would be for 250 scholarships for first generation college students. The other $25 million of the $50 million endowment would have to be focused on targeting middle school through high school disadvantaged students of similar background, first generation college, where you mentor them and help them understand how to be successful in high school, how to prepare for the SAT, the ACT, the AP tests, and then get them to college. And then once they're in college, having the mentors to help them understand to get to the library and how to succeed. And then the final part of that would be to get them the interview skills, mock interviews, resume writing, help them land their first job and launch them in their career. So that would be 25 million for investment in the people and 25 million for paying tuition. And that would be the 50 million a year of the endowment that I would use. So
The amount that we are investing is how much again?
it's 1 billion. You can like do it. You can use a billion. See, what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, I'm going to take that billion and create an endowment so it kicks off 5% interest a year.
Mm-hmm.
I could have just said, okay, you know what? I'm going to spend $100 million over 10 years. I could do it like that as well. But I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about something that would last hopefully longer than 10 years. But you can spend you can spend the billion any way they could spend the $1 billion in one tranche. They could do it on research. They could do it on a car company, anything you guys want to do, who would you give it to, and how would you direct them to spend $1 billion?
Can I ask you something else about
Yeah.
Your decision here?
Yeah.
What problem are you trying to solve?
I'm trying to create opportunities that usually don't exist for students that are first generation college students. The work that, well, first of all, on a very personal note, I had no friggin' clue how to navigate high school or college for that matter. That's why it took me forever to actually graduate. But I've also seen this being part of the alumni scholarship organization. I'm just going to leave it at that, where we interview students looking for scholarships that come from homes that are first generation and come from homes where both parents have college degrees. And the difference over the past 10 years is striking. The clothing that they wear on average, the background that they have is more professional. Everything is geared towards they have been prepped better than kids that don't have the mentoring and guidance that the four of us could give because we've been through that journey. We're first generation. We're teaching kids to be second generation, and they have massive advantages over kids that are entering as first generation. So that's the problem I'm trying to solve is equity, basically.
In just one particular pool, right? So at
Yeah.
USC, you're saying, okay. What would, and Darren, I want to get your thoughts on Ron's thing, because obviously you're in the mix there at USC, so you know what really goes on. But
don't hurt my feelings, Darren. Don't be gentle.
Right. Why don't you chime in on your thoughts on that?
In compliance with federal legislation, all scholarships need to be available to all students at the University of Southern California. So any first generation student would be eligible for the scholarship, irrespective of race, gender, or religion. You could limit it to domestic students, but the university policy in compliance with federal legislation means all scholarships are available to all students.
So this is a fantasy we're living in right now. So I mean, I hear you. This is a fantasy.
I'm tempered by the reality of the current climate at the university, and you know, you're right. The first generation students do struggle a bit more because they don't have the generational knowledge or the social capital that is there. And I don't know that a scholarship is going to. I mean, of course, scholarship is always good. It won't make the biggest difference for the students.
What makes the biggest difference?
The biggest difference is the second part of what he talked about, having that mentorship. Having somebody there to guide you, to tell you how to avoid the pitfalls, to tell you to ask for help. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Don't fail quietly. Get your money's worth. Those types of things. Dealing with imposter syndrome. The mentorship is the biggest difference. And when we were there, it was organic. You know, we had these angels who worked on campus who were always just there. These Black professionals who were just always around, you know, Parker. And there was just a lot of people who were always there. The folks in the financial aid office, they were just, there was this natural mentoring that happened. You know, the upperclassmen would tell you what professors to take, it was just part of the struggle because of the era in which we were joining the institution. There were a lot of people looking out for us, and that sort of changed. So I think that would be something that would probably do. I mean, of course, the money's always good, but we've got students that are full scholarship, first generation, that are still struggling because it's not just the money. The money helps, but that's not necessarily where it comes from. The success comes from.
You say the money helps, but if you don't have the money, then you don't even get to go. And
Yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
it's
True.
not
True.
like
True.
it's
But
not
but
you can't even get in the door.
yeah.
And
Well,
and
and that's
get in the
yeah.
door, you don't have the money, and you're stressed out about the money all the time. So it's not like, to me, it's not like one's more important than the other. It's like they're all important.
I wouldn't disagree, but I would say that even if you go to an institution that costs less money, the mentorship makes a difference. So
Yeah.
it's not just money. So you may not, if you don't have the money, you may not be able to go to a USC, but you could go to a Cal State. And if you don't have that mentorship, you still have the same problem
Yeah.
of the social capital, the institutional knowledge. So I that's why I would value the mentorship higher, because you can do other things or go to less expensive colleges, still get a good degree and be successful. But without that mentorship, you don't know to go when you go to industry night. Don't just fill up on the snacks. You know, you don't go there because you're hungry. I mean, you can go because you're hungry, but you also want to spend some time having a conversation with a potential employer that's not based on you just reciting your resume. You know, talking about, you know, the football team, or talking about, you know, you don't, there's certain things that are just natural for people who have been in that space. You know, they show up, they're dressed appropriately, and they know how to have a conversation, so that when they do send their resume, that person will look at their resume. And then speaking about dressing, I just want to say something. It's changed altogether with all students. Folks show up for job interviews in sports clothes. I mean, like, they came from the gym. You coming for a job interview?
Zero chance I'm going to hire somebody that comes in like that. But Darren, this is, again, let's ring the bell when we agree, because this is one of those rare times. You're right. And that's why I divided the money up. And when I looked at the money, because I was thinking about, okay, well, how many staffers would that provide? I'm thinking maybe I need to err more on the side of mentoring, because Ella, I understand your point about if you don't have the money, you can't get in. But if you don't have the foundation from middle school to high school, you don't even know where the door is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's the thing, is someone needs to be saying, you know what, you are really smart. You need to take these AP classes because it's going to give you this bump. And these are the things that a lot of people in disadvantaged communities just don't know about. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, you know, on a very personal level, my mom never asked me how I was doing in college. Never. She was just happy I was in college. You know.
Did she go to college?
She went to like LA Trade Tech for like a semester or two. So basically, no. You know. There is zero chance that my wife and I would be like, oh, I'm just glad you're in college. You know, let's talk in 4 years and see if you succeed. No, it don't work that way. But, and also, and Darren, you know, another point is our older daughter, because she's second generation corporate, she has learned the lessons about the networking. And, you know, looking at the background and saying, okay, what is there in this person's office that I can connect with? Mm-hmm. These are things that it took us decades to learn.
Yep.
Homegirls learned it in her 20s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the advantage that second generations have. And that's why giving money directed at first generation and the mentoring is so important, because it's such an unfair advantage. It's just so unfair.
It truly is. And what I find is when I'm talking to some of the first gen and even some of the second generation students, they don't always have it either. They just don't know. It's like you can't blow off certain things. You can't not show up and then wonder why things aren't going right. And it doesn't take away from all the other stuff that you have to do. It's like, yes, you have to work. Yes, you have to do all these things. And you have to go to the industry nights. You have to go.
100%.
And, you know, yes, it doesn't matter if there are 400 people there. That doesn't concern you. You have to be there, because having that conversation will make a difference for you. Even though you're a freshman now and not likely to get hired, you're going to be talking to that person or somebody from that company in a couple of years, and you need to know some stuff. And so there's just some things that, and then there's the, you know, go talk to your faculty member when you're having trouble at the beginning, not a week before finals. There's just some things that if you don't know, you're at a distinct disadvantage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wonder if a tweak to your proposal, Ron, would be to make just a non-school specific scholarship fund.
No, just donate it to the Viterbi K through 12 STEM Center at USC, and I will take care of that for you.
There you go. There you go.
But
There's
I
no
think
self-interest to that at all. No
There you
self-interest at all.
But I think that this grooming, if you will, or this education is something that's ongoing that we as professionals have to instill and do for everybody around us. It's like always having conversations and asking questions and engaging them in conversations so that, you know, they begin to think, they get that confidence and stuff. And this is my daughter, she does it so well. I mean, she's always out at some high school or some organization mentoring people. And I just love it. I mean, we have to do that. We have to do that for each other. And so good for you, Ron, because that's not what I was going to do with my billion. That's for sure.
Well, speaking of which, Ella, why don't we go to you next?
You know what? I am not that benevolent. Whoever it is, what they have to do is give it right back to me. Okay.
Hey, Ella, you got your billionaire, so money is not your concern.
What?
You're a billionaire, so money's not your concern. Yeah. You're after something else.
Well, I didn't read it like that. It was like, I didn't read it like I'm the billionaire and I'm just giving somebody else a billion.
If you could give $1 billion to one person, so if you could implies that, you know what, let me just give them some money.
So for those that that I didn't imply that. I was like, oh, but anyway, okay. So let me rethink. Because I was like, give it right back because I obviously don't have $1 billion. So if I have $1 billion, okay.
Yeah, Ella's like me. I was thinking that, you know, some billionaire, you know, made me the executor of their estate. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't a billionaire. I thought I was just handing out.
No, exactly. I took it just like that. Not like I had $1 billion to give away. That was one of my billions.
Well, okay, so let's say that Mark Zuckerberg gives you $1 billion, but insists that you have to give it to someone. So you can't keep the money. It has to be transferred to one person.
Well, yeah. And so then you said that I could decide what they do with it.
Yes.
Right.
And you're saying, give it back to me. No.
Because I will
the spirit of the question, Ella,
then I will make sure I will make sure that it is put within our families, within our neighborhoods, within all of the people that we need to touch. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll do good.
Just
I don't have any
trust me. Give it to me.
You know,
Give me the money.
I don't have any government that's telling me that it only that it has to be for everybody. It's gonna be for some Black people. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
And we're gonna build businesses. We're gonna educate. I mean, all of that. So yeah.
The Ellen Neely Kennedy Center.
I don't know. It'll be Ellen Neely. Okay. And then we'll have the Ron Evans and the Nick Cades and the Darren Gray. I mean, that's how I would disperse my money to all of you guys so we could go out and build great things and help people. So yeah.
Okay. But you don't get to keep any of it.
So I understand, but I'm trying to help people as well. And I think that I can target and help as many people as I can.
Okay. The other part of the question is, and how would you instruct them to use it? So you're saying to go out and do what?
All of the things that you just said. I mean, it could be for businesses, creating businesses. It's about for us to learn, to get education so that we can sustain, so that we can build stuff, so that we can have businesses, so that we can have confidence, so that we learn how to be empathetic. I mean, all of these, there's just so many things that our people need because of just being in this America. Like I was talking to this woman, I went to this African store and she said, oh, you should think about moving back to Africa. Because when you move back to Africa, you're just a woman. Because here you're Black. And when you're Black, that just has so many negative connotations.
Mhm.
And when you go abroad to other places, you're just female or male. You don't
Yeah.
have to deal with all of the other stuff. And so what historically, all that's been put upon us, we have so much healing that needs to happen.
Mhm.
And so I want to help that healing process.
You know, I would definitely agree with that 100% because I remember, and I may have shared the story, when I was deep into studying French, I had a French tutor that she's Black and she was in Belgium. And there's this program called iTalki where you have video conferencing. So it's like Zoom. And she said to me, she's like, she had a friend from New York move to Brussels and she could not fit into the social group because every conversation was about race. And they're like, why are you bringing up race? And our Dutch friends that are family to us, the 28-year-old that is the same age as our daughter, I told him the last trip that on the citations for moving violations, there's a box for race. And he looked at me like, why? Why does that matter? But it's so ingrained into American culture,
Exactly.
that we just take it for granted that, well, you think race first.
And when something happens, you always say, what race were they?
Mm-hmm.
And that's real.
Yeah.
I think that's becoming more and more the case internationally, particularly in Europe, with immigration patterns and all that. Race and nationality is becoming a big deal everywhere. So
It's not race, it's culture.
Mhm.
So what happens is, and really we have to thank our friend Mr. George W. Bush for invading Iraq and forcing migration from the Middle East up into Europe. But it's the cultural clash of people that have a different religion. They are more insular. That has caused a lot of the conflict, and certainly in Germany and in France specifically, and also in the Netherlands. But it's culture; it's not race. It's different, in my opinion.
Right.
Well, here it's race.
Oh, it's
You
absolutely
just
right.
you just hear something bad happen and you just pray it wasn't a Black man
Yeah.
or Black person, because then it's like all of the vitriol that comes behind that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Well, so getting back to the subject at hand, Darren, what about you? What would you,
Similar to Ron, I would require an endowment, but it would go to the mayor of Detroit. And the endowment would be that every year the funds would be for neighborhood businesses owned by people who live in that community, because I would want to reset the underlying community where you have people who live there, own the businesses, build equity, build finance, build political capital, and then generationally, those people would be able to send their kids to college or trade school without all of the debt, without all of the struggles. Because currently, to get into the middle class, it's through the university system, or you can go into to trade school, but it's a little bit more challenging to break through just because of you don't necessarily have that capital. But if you can rebuild the working class in communities in my hometown, you could change in a generation. You could fundamentally change the nature of the city. So you're talking $50 million a year for 25 years. The city would change, and you would have more opportunities for people who grew up like I grew up in neighborhoods where I grew up to have an opportunity. When I was in Detroit, everybody worked at the factory, Croy and be damned. It was factory jobs. Some people went off to trade school, some people went to the factory, some people went off to college.
Yep.
But you could afford to buy a house, you can buy a car, and the businesses were local. And people who owned the businesses in the community, the cleaners, the market, they were folks who lived in your community. We actually started to have issues mid to late 70s, there was a migration, particularly from I think it was the Iraqi population that moved in, and this was before the long before the wars, but this is an outgrowth of like the oil embargoes and all that, and the neighborhood started to change around the same time. The cost of gas caused the auto industry to change, so there was just a lot that shifted, and the middle class and the working class just disappeared. And I think we could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the city if there was a huge investment of small businesses that had to stay in the community, that had to stay locally owned. So if you wanted to sell the business, you have to sell it to somebody who lives in the neighborhood. You can't sell it to a corporation. You can't sell it to it. Very similar to, I think in the Korean community, it's called a key or something, where you have community banking, and it has to be invested a certain way. It would have to be invested in that community. That's what I would do, because it could fundamentally alter the course of the city.
I love that.
Yeah. Well,
I love both of yours. I can't wait to hear what Nick has to say.
I think my investment is a little bit more abstract, and I don't know who I would give it to, but I'm sure there's a lot of good people that could head this up. I think that we need a really robust and vital think tank that could rival the Federalist Society, the Claremont Society, these think tanks that are behind so many of the so much of the legislation that gets passed, so much like ALEC, I forget what ALEC stands for, but they end up authoring a lot of legislation, both nationally, but particularly locally, particularly at the state level and so forth, that end up impacting so many people. And I have two big things that I think need to be addressed going forward. One, I think we need some serious constitutional amendments. And I think people look at constitutional amendments as something that can't get done because of what it takes to pass a constitutional amendment. But I think people of a more moderate or progressive standpoint tend to think too small. I think we think about what are the barriers that are in place that would keep us from getting the change that we want, and we play within that system. Whereas people who want to be more conservative and feel like this, but they have a sense of righteous indignation that this belongs to me, they're trying to figure out how do we either break down the system or how do we go around the system to get the change that we want. So I would want them, to start making a case and providing support, legislation, articles, reports, whatever, that support the need and the vitality of amending our Constitution to the state where a lot of the corruption and a lot of the self-dealing and a lot of the things that happen, particularly on the national level, get addressed. And there are actual guardrails that are not norms, but they are codified into law. Election-related stuff, how different agencies work and what the president's abilities are. I feel like that case needs to be made. And it's not something that can happen overnight, but it takes a concerted and long-term effort. Like I said, with the Federalist Society, National Review, a lot of these agencies and think tanks that have been behind a lot of the change that's just now taking place. So I would want to address the constitutional amendment part, and I would also want to address voting. So the two things that are really important to me are not having a mythology around what our Constitution is about, which is obviously enfeebled and not up to the moment in the times that we're in. And the other thing is that there needs to be a much more structured, reliable, without ability to degrade voting in America, so that the Constitution really addresses that. So I would want to put the money toward some body or some persons or some institution that can move those two items forward. That would be.
All right. So basically, Nick said he wants to blow the money.
Remember, we have a hard stop.
I want to set it on fire. Yes.
Set it on fire.
Wasted.
I was like, just give it back to me, man. Don't do all that. Just
Give it to Ella. I'd rather you go to Ella.
And you guys are being funny, but you're serious. You think that that's like a fool's errand.
I think you're a level too high. I think there needs to be an education of the populace before any of that can happen.
That's what think tanks do, though.
But they don't, right? The think tanks.
Well, that's not what the federal. Listen, just taking the Federalist Society alone, they don't just make arguments and stuff for politicians, which they do. They interact with universities. They interact with all kinds of people in various levels of power throughout the country. So the things that they produce end up trickling all the way down to what we hear and think, even at Fox News or at whatever you name.
What I'm saying is, I think that you put the cart before the horse, because there has to be a persuasive marketing toward, because the Federalist Society doesn't work unless you have the MAGA, unless you have the grassroots and the people on that particular spectrum. They have a built-in mindset of don't take my stuff, because I have a right. I deserve this. So you don't have to convince them of much. The people that you would want, I think you have to have a change in mindset for the other people who don't understand or aren't engaged or don't believe that their vote counts. Very similar to the way the civil rights movement was, where it was on the streets, in the communities. I think that has to happen before you can even get to think tank, because the people who are influenced by the Federalist Society, they've got a built-in audience already. And I think in the progressive movement, there's so many different movements across. I don't think you have that.
So let me just balance the scale here. On one side of the scale is Nick and his $1 billion. On the other side of the scale, and this is off the top of my head, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, the Koch brothers, and Larry Ellison.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Your billion is in their seat cushions.
Right.
They can outspend you. They can neutralize any macro conversation you want to have. So it's extremely ambitious to think that money could be used for positive change across the country.
Fair point. It's, I got a water pistol and they've got a bazooka, right? In terms of amount of money that we're talking about. But I do believe that money attracts money, right? I think there are enough people in society and in business and in whatever that would be attracted to the kind of pushback that I'm proposing. Because yes, those people that you named, their scoreboard is how much money can I get and can I keep, right? But there is a growing groundswell of people who are just frustrated that there seems like it's inevitable. Like there's no pushback. There's no big ideas. There's no solutions that are being offered. There's not a peep. There's not a peep. And so I believe there's a pent-up demand for it. I think there are lots of people who want big ideas. I think there are politicians who would want to run if they knew they had a certain level of,
isn't that what Soros does, though? I mean, he funded all of the progressive movements, particularly in criminal justice across the country. So I think
Mark Cuban is
another. Yeah, Cuban. My struggle with the folks on the left is that they don't necessarily make the best case to the populace, and their ideology sometimes is in direct conflict with the people they're trying to help. So this is what
I'm saying, though, Darren. I agree that it has been bereft of real direction and real practicality for the people that are trying to help. And I think there needs to be something that is really looking at the big issues, right? You can't boil the ocean. That's why I was saying the constitutional amendment thing and voting in particular, right? And I do believe that you can attract more money to actually, solidify those issues, maybe bring on others. So yeah, $1 billion doesn't go far in a world where you got individual people who almost own $1 trillion worth of wealth, right? Like
It'll
that's
go far in my world.
right.
Well, yeah.
But I do think that we underestimate the value of public sentiment. And to your point, Darren, you have to start making the argument that compels people to your side. And I just don't think that there is a well-funded entity that is helping to push the needle in that way, so that other people start to pick up the talking points, start to pick up the initiative, start to pick up whatever, because it's well researched, it's progressive yet effective, all of those things. So you guys can pick at my thing, but when I get $1 billion and I start that think tank,
first it goes to Ella.
You're gonna thank me.
Well, I just want to say, do what you do it, because you got to get in the race, and you might be a small entity in the race, but at least you're in the race, and that's the start.
That's
So,
right.
a lot of times you don't tell people what street your parade is, so they don't rain on it.
Yeah.
So go do you.
And I'm getting it straight from Kirk Kerkorian, Darren. So, you got to swing big.
You got to swing. But the thing is, you got to swing. And if you don't do anything, you're not even swinging. So go for it.
But I think, Ella, you touched on something. I would amend, if I were Nick, I would amend my vision from being national to more local. So what cities, what states can I direct that money and have a big impact? And then, rinse and repeat, hopefully.
You could be right.
You look at our current issue here in the city, where you've got the current mayor who,
what, Darren? What?
Terrible. And our choices are continue doing what she's doing, or this other guy who's a reality show, Spencer Pratt. So I mean, the choices, unless you can make the argument for what you're doing and convince people that your approach is in their best interest, you're going to have fractures all over the place. And you end up with folks like Pratt or Trump or all these other Paxton, because when the status quo isn't working and you're saying more of the same, you open the door for these other people to come in who are at least saying something different. And I think with the amount of money that's going into the mayoral and the governor, you got Tom Steyer, the billionaire, who's putting a ton of money into his approach. I just think the folks on the left have gotten away from the things that people value, and you don't need a think tank to help people to want to be safe and prosperous. I mean, you don't need that. You
I
can
disagree with you, Darren. You seem to always default to the fact that we're so fractured and we don't have a message. And I agree with that. Someone's got to be the one to do the work that allows it to break through. And I think you have to motivate people of good conscience who really want to solve problems and not just grandstand or whatever, to understand from a researched way or whatever, this is what can happen. And this is a message that could break through. We polled it, whatever we did, and here's something that could break through in a way that you can do it. And I appreciate the idea that starting at the national level with $1 billion may not be the way. It could be at the state or local level. I agree with that. I think that the point is, and I agree with you on this, Darren, you can't solve a problem by doing the same things. And so we have to there's got to be some focused way of finding out what the future can be and putting that in front of people so that they realize that there is hope in a progressive direction. So anyway, I will not defend my point any further. I just put it to work, and you guys can all thank me. So
yeah. And Ella, the good news is you're now the third option.
You know what? But I'm an option. So
All right, there you
I'm
go.
in the game.
There you go. So, and if you guys out there have a thought about what you would do with $1 billion to help make the world a better place, we're all ears. So feel free to comment on anything that we've said and offer your own suggestions. And of course, always like and follow us on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, any of the platforms that we're on. So before we get out of here, Ron, you have got a parting shot for us today.
Yes, I do. All right. So, when you have young adult children, or you're mentoring kids right out of college in their 20s, there is this lack of belief in yourself. And there's a video about Kobe Bryant when he entered the league and how he looked at Michael Jordan that I think is very instructive. If you could show that, I think we'll enjoy it. And forgive me in advance, there's a little potty mouth.
When I was in high school, I used to work out with the 76ers. I used to ask him, what's it like to guard Mike? Mike, you mean Black Jesus? I'm like, what the fuck? Black who? We call him Black Jesus. Or you can call him Black Cat. I'm like, I'm gonna call him fucking Mike. That's his fucking name. So the level of fear that he inspired in others was insane. And I would tell him, I said, when I face him, we're gonna go at it. He says, oh, you don't want to do that. I'm like, what? Man, you don't know me, man. So when we matched up, I think he understood that. When I was 18, my first year, he got the best of me a bunch of times. I was right there the next play. You're not intimidating me. I'm not going anywhere. And I think he saw that level of respect, because I think he was the same way at 18 years old. That common bond is what I think where our connection was built. When I was in high school.
So I love this. I love this video because it touches on a couple themes that I know that all of us have had to deal with, and maybe still deal with a little bit. But what Kobe is saying there in our lives is you can't put anybody on a pedestal, be it in the work environment, wherever. And it's good to say, okay, you know what? You got game, but I'm going to study you and figure out how you did what you did so I can do it too. And that virtuous cycle of study, analyze, become better is something that I think is really inspiring versus saying, well, that's Black Jesus. I'm going to put him on a pedestal and I've already lost any interaction I have with this person, be it at work or wherever, because I'm not worthy. They're already superior to me. So great video that I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you for that. That was important.
Yeah. Although I must say I never had that issue of putting folks on the pedestal. My mom told me something that stuck with me, which was, don't try to compete against somebody else because you bring yourself down to their level. Just compete against yourself. Mm-hmm. And the subtext of that is you're already better than everybody else. When you compete with them, you're actually lowering yourself. And that was just something that was part of my identity. Led to a lot of overconfidence and a lot of things too.
But I just want to say, Darren, that your mother instilled a lot of greatness in you, because, you might just your belief in yourself is so important. Yeah. And you got that at a young age. And I mean, you could be a nuisance sometimes. I'm just kidding. But absolutely. But the core is that you really believe this because this woman instilled this from you from a little, I don't know how little, but you went on to USC just thinking you were the shit. And that's important. And that's what we need. And it's, I look at these athletic matches and stuff, and then they have an interview and they ask the person, oh, did you have confidence? And they say no. And I wonder, how is it that you're at that level and you don't believe that you could do it? Mm-hmm. And so I just want to commend your mom because she gave you what all of us need. And so
yeah, she was something else. I mean, I had it bad. Like when I was in high school, I had my own.
No, you still have it. You don't have it bad then. You got it. Do you have it worse now?
I'm better now. I used to walk down the hallway singing, "Be them ever so clever, there's no one like me." because I just had it big. When I came to SC, the thing I loved about SC was that arrogance, because I really felt like I was at home, because people would say to me growing up, "You think you're better than everybody?" And I would say, "Why, yes, I do." It was not an insult when people would say that to me.
So the confidence is good, but we gotta.
Yeah, I know. It's gotten me overconfidence from time to time. Yes.
Well,
So
not everybody's cup of tea, but hey, if it works,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a strong tea. It's a very strong one.
Right. Well,
it's got to simmer for 40 years.
Yes. Thank you for that parting shot, Ron, and for the great subject that you brought for us to consider. And we hope some billionaires out there will start to think about putting your money toward things other than just yachts and space flight. So
what is her Mackenzie? What's the Amazon husband's ex-wife? She gives a lot of money away.
Oh yeah.
Every day.
Scott. Yep.
Yeah, HBCUs are blessed because of all the money that she gives away. So there are those that are out there doing it.
Oh yeah. Sure. We need more. Yeah. Not sitting behind the president at UFC fights and stuff like that. So anyhow, that'll be a topic for another day. But for now, guys, we appreciate you guys liking and following us as usual. Wrong one. Let's see, where are we? There we go. Follow us on social media, and again, we look forward to hearing your comments and feedback on what we've shared today. So in the meantime, guys, it's always a blessing to be in your presence. Thank you for all you do, and when we get these billions together, look out, world, we're coming.
Here we come.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time on We've Got Issues. Take care.
Bye.